weeds. If you live in some parts of the country where there's a heavy weed cover, it's probably not a bad idea to put a weed guard on. And if you're going to use a weed guard, you probably want to use, for this size hook, I'd use 20 or 25 pound hard mason. You don't want to use regular monofilament. It's too soft. The hard mason type leader material is very, very good, and it's made by the Mason Tackle Company in Otis, Michigan. And that's available all over the United States. That's not a hard material to get. Another good rule of thumb is if you're using a weed guard and you're not sure of the size, the diameter of the weed guard should be about the same as the diameter of the hook shank, whatever the thickness of that particular wire happens to be. Okay, well, we're going to put on some rubber hackle, rubber tails. This isn't absolutely necessary that you do this, but it adds a little bit of pizzazz to the fly and a little more action in the water. Excuse me, let me move my thread forward here. Move the thread forward up to there. Lay it over the thread, grab it, roll it up to the hook shank, and let the torque of the thread bring it up on top of the hook. Stretch the rubber just a little bit, wrap the thread to the end of the shank. Now you have a little foundation. Another good reason to use rubber in the back, or even a piece of foam to build that up a little bit. It gives a foundation to lay the hackle on. Just tying the hackle on a bare hook or just with a thread base doesn't give you much of a foundation, and this adds a little bit to that so that it's a little easier to tie those hackles in. Now, I've already prepared these two hackles. I've glued them together, and they're dry. They've set for about 10-15 minutes, and they're nice and dry. You want to try to align your tips so the tips are nice and even. These two are about the same in shape. Got a narrower orange hackle on the inside, and the barbs don't stick out quite as far, so you get that little orange effect with the yellow. Lay the hackle on the far side of the hook. One other thing that helps stabilize the hackle is if you wrap the thread just a little bit onto the barbs. So I'll bring this in.
And you like to tie these on the side rather
on the
than
side.
the top.
Now, that being said, when Jimmy Nix originally taught me this 20 years ago, he tied them on top, wrapped halfway back, and pulled them down. And that system certainly works. If you talk to saltwater tyers, most saltwater tyers who are tying tarpon flies, for instance, will tie these hackles on the side of the hook shank, not on top. I've always just tied them on. I just like tying them on the side. I think that works just as well. Clip the racus so it's even with the round rubber. Lay it in position. Keep the thread flat. One of the advantages of using this Wapsi thread, it lays flatter than any thread I've ever used. And you can lay that on. Watch your thread pressure very carefully. These first wraps are moderate to light. And what we're doing is just placing the material in place. Now that's set. That's not going to move. It's not going to twist and roll. As the thread is wrapped back toward the front, increase the pressure on that last 3/4 of the tie-in area. Now that is solid. It's not going to go anywhere. Come in, align the second hackle, cut off the excess racus, align that, same process, spin the bobbin, counterclockwise.